Andreas Gursky is, to my mind, one of the great artists of our generation. He really grew out of an interest in a kind of expanded documentary type of photography in the 80s. And he quickly developed it into something where the photograph was more a kind of metaphor for a cultural attitude about something. And he said that he was interested in how the world is put together. And a lot of his pictures show you this in a kind of detail and clarity that I don't think any other photographer has approached. His early pictures, the majority of them are in and around Dusseldorf, where he lives. And then by the beginning of the 1990s, as he had gained a certain international stature, he's been invited to do exhibitions in different parts of the world. He starts taking pictures in very different places. He started out working with film cameras, and then he begins using digital post-production. He is using it to get a different type of perspective that really never existed before, where in a famous picture from 1993 called Paris Montparnasse, in order to get an image where every window is the same size, he put his camera across the street at two different locations. So in Andreas's picture, every window is the same size, it's utterly uniform, and it's true to the spirit of the building, rather than being distorted by optics. And finally, he reaches a point where he decides he will construct photographs completely. So there's a wonderful picture that shows you the last four German chancellors sitting in what looks like a kind of glass enclosed sound booth. But it's a situation that never happened in real life. It's completely a fiction that Andreas has created. You get to the most recent pictures, which were inspired by pictures he took on a mobile phone while traveling. He then went back with proper equipment to try to recapture something that he saw that interested him in those pictures, including some of the glitches. So these pictures, to me, are his acknowledgement that we now live in a moment where the mobile phone photograph is this major cultural artifact of our time, but that he can still produce something that's really a complex and mesmerizing work of art. At some point in the mid-90s, he did start using large format digital cameras. There's a wonderful image in the other room of Tokyo, and this was one of the pictures he had taken originally with a phone and then went back, rode the train 40 times, shooting the same area over and over again, and then patched together all those different pictures he'd made. And when I went to visit him, they were all laid out on the floor. So there was an area about 5 by 3 meters with this collage of printed pictures that he was trying to work out rather than doing it on a computer. So it's still an interesting mix, where as digital as it's gotten, there are these moments where you're just laying out pieces of paper on the floor and trying to see what works. We're looking here at a picture from 2016 called Amazon, which shows you this Amazon warehouse in Phoenix, Arizona. He'll take several different photographs of horizontal bands in order to make each area completely in focus. And then you get this sense of an image that the human eye wouldn't register if you were standing there. So there's a supernatural kind of clarity to it. At the same time, he's just showing you what's actually there. So, he's not tweaking the image to make something false, he's tweaking it to make something that's closer to the truth. And here is that seemingly disorderly array of objects, because they're no longer organized by category, they're just digitally coded as they come into the warehouse. And I think he's very shrewd as a thinker about global culture to pinpoint this change as something that is a real key moment in how we order the world. And I think from the beginning that has been his focus, is how do we order the world around us and how can photography reveal that to us? Andreas has a knack for picking subjects that really relate to key issues of our time, but he leaves it very much open to the viewer to form their own opinion about what this might mean. The images have a complexity and beauty to them that it's a very different kind of experience. Even if it's filled with trash, he's made a beautiful image of it, but it doesn't make you forget that the trash is there. So he leaves the door open for politics to enter the room, but he's not going to tell you what to think.